In the small, sleepy town of Maplewood, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, stood an old Victorian house on Elm Street. The sprawling mansion, with its turrets and intricate woodwork, had long been a local curiosity. It had been built in 1884 by the wealthy Hawthorne family, who mysteriously vanished one winter night, leaving the house abandoned and shrouded in rumors. Decades passed, and the house became a neglected relic until the Johnsons, a young couple with 2 children, bought it in 1965. They were drawn to its charm and spacious rooms, eager to start a new chapter of their lives. The first few months were idyllic. The children, Lily and Tom, played in the large garden, while Mr. and Mrs. Johnson busied themselves with renovations. However, as winter approached, strange occurrences began to unsettle the family. It started with little things: creaking floorboards in the dead of night, whispers that seemed to echo through the walls, and cold spots that appeared out of nowhere. But it wasn't until they began renovating the attic that things took a darker turn. The attic was a dusty, cobweb-filled space that had been sealed off for years. When they finally opened it up, they discovered old furniture covered in white sheets, a large mirror, and a collection of portraits of the Hawthorne family. Most unsettling was a wooden chest in the corner, locked tight and bearing intricate carvings. One evening, while Mr. Johnson worked late in his study, Mrs. Johnson and the children decided to explore the attic. As they ascended the creaky stairs, Lily, the youngest, noticed a faint but persistent whispering. It seemed to come from the corner where the chest was. "Mom, what's that noise?" Lily asked, clutching her mother's hand. Mrs. Johnson tried to dismiss it as the wind or the house settling. They opened the chest to find old letters, photographs, and a dusty diary belonging to a young woman named Eliza Hawthorne. The diary detailed a young woman's life, filled with sadness and a sense of entrapment, as if she were longing for escape. The final entries mentioned a secret room and a promise of watching forever. That night, the whispers became more insistent. Mr. Johnson, worried, decided to investigate. He found nothing unusual, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger. As he walked through the house, he noticed the temperature dropping, and shadows seemed to dance just beyond the edge of his vision. In the following days, the disturbances increased. Objects moved on their own, and the children began to speak of a lady in the mirror who would appear at night. One particularly cold night, Lily woke to find a figure standing by her bed, a woman with hollow eyes and a mournful expression, watching her intently. Frightened, Lily ran to her parents' room. Mr. Johnson, determined to get to the bottom of things, decided to investigate the attic once more. He spent hours searching but found nothing out of the ordinary, until he looked behind the mirror. Hidden in the wall, he discovered a small, concealed door. With trembling hands, he opened the door to reveal a narrow, dark passage. At the end of the passage was a small, hidden room, empty except for a single ancient rocking chair facing the wall. The chair's wood was worn and cold, as if it had been used frequently. Next to the chair was a loose floorboard, beneath which Mr. Johnson found a stack of letters and a final note from Eliza Hawthorne. The note was a desperate plea for help, revealing that Eliza had been confined to the attic by her family, who were hiding a dark secret. Her spirit, she wrote, would remain trapped until someone discovered her plight. That night, as the Johnsons prepared to sleep, the disturbances ceased. The whispers stopped, and the cold spots disappeared. The house seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The Johnsons lived in the house for many more years, never forgetting the ghostly presence that had once haunted them. They often wondered if Eliza's spirit had finally found peace. To this day, the old Victorian house on Elm Street stands, its dark history a whisper in the wind. And though the family has moved on, the tale of Eliza Hawthorne remains a chilling reminder of the house's past. Years had passed since the Johnsons had left the old Victorian house on Elm Street, and it had changed hands several times. The new occupants, the Carter family, were unaware of the house's haunted history. They were an adventurous lot, eager to renovate and breathe new life into the aging mansion. When they moved in during the summer of 1978, they marveled at the house's charm, admiring its ornate woodwork and high ceilings. However, it wasn't long before the strange occurrences began again. At first, it was the usual creaking and whispers. Then, the disturbances grew more intense. Unexplained cold drafts, objects falling from shelves, and the sound of a rocking chair creaking in the dead of night. Young Emma Carter, the teenage daughter, was the first to notice something truly unsettling. She found an old journal in the attic while rummaging through boxes of old belongings. It was leather-bound and dusty, similar to the diary the Johnsons had found. Inside, she discovered cryptic notes and sketches of the house, along with drawings of a hidden room and a figure in a long, flowing dress. One evening, Emma showed the journal to her parents. They were intrigued but skeptical. The journal's references to a hidden room piqued their interest, so they decided to investigate. They searched the attic thoroughly but found nothing unusual. As the days turned to weeks, the disturbances grew more alarming. Emma began to have vivid dreams of a woman trapped in a small room, pleading for help. These dreams became increasingly intense, and she woke up with an overwhelming sense of dread. Emma's parents, worried about her distress, tried to comfort her but were at a loss for how to help. One night, Emma was awoken by a soft, eerie voice calling her name. Trembling, she followed the voice to the attic, guided by an unseen force. There, she found the hidden door just as described in the journal. Her heart raced as she opened the concealed passage and discovered the small, dark room once more. The room was eerily familiar, and the rocking chair was still there, its wood cold and smooth. On the floor, Emma noticed a faded photograph of a young woman in Victorian attire, Eliza Hawthorne. Beside it was another note, written in a scrawl that was barely legible. The note was a final, desperate cry for freedom and a request for someone to finish what had been started. Determined to put an end to the haunting, Emma researched the history of the Hawthorne family and discovered a tragic tale of betrayal and confinement. The Hawthornes had been known for their strict and secretive nature, and Eliza's confinement was a dark chapter in the family's history, hidden from public knowledge. With this newfound knowledge, Emma and her parents performed a small ceremony in the hidden room, honoring Eliza and acknowledging the pain she had endured. They read aloud the notes and the journal, expressing their regret and offering their respect to her spirit. That night, the house seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The disturbances ceased, and the air felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. Emma felt a profound sense of peace, and the nightmares stopped. The Carter family continued their life in the house, now fully aware of its history and respectful of its past. Over the years, the house on Elm Street remained quiet, and the story of Eliza Hawthorne faded into local legend. The Carters, who had become local historians of the house's history, shared the story with those interested, ensuring that Eliza's tale was not forgotten. The old Victorian mansion continued to stand as a reminder of the past, its eerie history a testament to the enduring presence of those who had once lived there. And though the house was no longer haunted by the whispers and shadows of its tragic past, the story of the watcher in the attic remained a chilling echo of the house's dark history, a story of a spirit seeking liberation and finding peace at last. Years went by, and the Carter family lived in the Victorian house with a newfound respect for its past. The house, now more than a century old, was a cherished home with a rich history that Emma Carter and her family lovingly preserved. However, the tranquility was not to last forever. In the spring of 1988, as Emma was helping her parents prepare the house for a historical open house event, she decided to revisit the hidden room in the attic. She had not been there in years and wanted to ensure everything was in order for the guests. To her surprise, she found something new. Amid the dust and cobwebs, behind the old rocking chair, Emma discovered a small, ornate locket wedged between the floorboards. The locket was intricately designed, with a delicate pattern of vines and flowers engraved on its surface. Emma carefully opened it, revealing two faded photographs, one of a young woman in Victorian dress and one of a man in a dark suit. The woman's resemblance to Eliza Hawthorne was striking, and Emma assumed the man was likely a member of the Hawthorne family. Intrigued, she decided to do some more research to learn about the locket's origins. She discovered that Eliza had been engaged to a man named Charles, who had mysteriously disappeared shortly before her confinement. The mystery of Charles's fate had been one of the many unanswered questions about the Hawthorne family. Emma's curiosity grew, and she started digging deeper into Charles's disappearance. Local archives revealed that Charles had been involved in a dispute with the Hawthorne family over financial matters and had vanished under suspicious circumstances. Some whispered that he had been driven away, but no one knew for sure. One evening, as Emma examined the locket, she noticed a small, hidden inscription on the inside of the cover. "To my dearest, forever bound." The inscription was a poignant reminder of the love and perhaps the sorrow between Eliza and Charles. Emma felt a deep empathy for them, realizing that their story was more tragic and complex than she had initially understood. Determined to bring closure to the story, Emma and her family organized a special event to honor both Eliza and Charles. They invited local historians and members of the community to the house to share what they had learned about the Hawthornes and the tragic love story that had unfolded there. The event was both somber and enlightening, shedding light on the personal lives behind the house's ghostly legends. During the event, an elderly local historian approached Emma. He revealed that he had known Charles Hawthorne when he was a young man and had heard rumors about his fate. According to the historian, Charles had indeed been forced to leave Maplewood under duress, and he had eventually disappeared without a trace. However, the historian had always believed that Charles had loved Eliza deeply and that their separation had been a heartbreaking consequence of the family's secrets. With this new information, Emma felt a sense of closure for the tragic love story that had haunted the house. She returned the locket to its place in the hidden room, feeling that it belonged there as a testament to the love that had once flourished, even in the face of adversity. As time passed, the Victorian house on Elm Street continued to stand as a monument to its storied past. The Carters maintained its history and ensured that the tales of its former inhabitants were remembered with respect and empathy. The house, now a symbol of enduring love and the quest for closure, became a cherished landmark in Maplewood. The story of Eliza and Charles, and the haunting that once plagued the house, became a poignant reminder of the power of history and the importance of understanding and honoring the past. The Victorian mansion, though still ancient and full of secrets, no longer felt like a place of sorrow but rather a place where love and memory had finally found peace. Don't forget to subscribe to our new channel by clicking on the link in the description.